Hello and welcome to Oddsock Comics. Today I have something that's going to be ongoing for the next couple of months. Basically what I'm going to do is each month I'm going to put approximately 50 of my Artgerm books into Mylars as I buy new Mylar bags and update that collection that I'm building. And I'm going to walk through and show my Artgerm collection one by one. So that's what I have in front of you right now is my first 50. Now I originally filmed a video where I was bagging and replacing all of these, but man, it took a long time. Some of my bags had tape on them, and so tearing off that tape and getting rid of it was a big pain. So I ended up deleting all of those videos. They were seriously way too long. But I still wanted to show just some of the Artgerm covers. Artgerm is my favorite artist, definitely my favorite cover artist, and one of the reasons that I got started collecting comic books was Batgirl number 12. And so I'm going to show you my collection, which is almost complete. So I'm going to start off, this is in pretty close to alphabetical order. It's based off of comicbookdatabase.com, no, comicbookdb.com, the comic book database, and the way that they have a list of all of the Artgerm covers. Now they don't have, there's one or two that are missing from their list, and I've been able to find some pop up through other channels and stuff. So it's not perfect. I do have, I think, a more complete list than what they have, but whatever. And I'll go through it and I'll talk about some of the things that come up. So I don't want to wait here with too much of a white background, so we'll just get started. So first up, on this side I have A1, The Weirding Willows. So I purchased this book fairly early on because I love the cover. You know, it's this magician's hat, very beautiful person. Then it's apparently a really low print run, and it was pretty hard to find. Now I paid $60 for this, which was quite a bit early on. But apparently right now it's been going for closer to $150. So that was a good book to buy when I did, because it would be hard to chase down now. But I'm glad I've got it, and it's in, the one that I've got is in really good condition. It may have one little spine tick, but I don't even know if that's a spine tick or if that's just dust. Okay, next up we have the KRS exclusive comic for All New Wolverine. So I paid about 15 bucks for this. I didn't know much about store exclusives when I bought this, but I was just collecting some back issues. KRS Comics, I think, had it in stock. I think I ordered it straight from them, which was interesting, but I was happy to get it. All right, next up we have some store exclusives for The Amazing Spider-Man Renew Your Vows. Now this has variants of variants. So there's the color variant, the whitewashed grayscale variant. There's still some color in it. You can see his Spider-Man's arm is still blue. And then there's the line art. And I love this cover as well. I mean, this reminds me of my wedding. And I think that it's just done very well. I can see through Peter Parker's eyes, Mary Jane. That's a fantastic view. Obviously, he's taken her to the top of a tower, which is what a Spider-Man would do. So very, very cool cover. Love that one just from the I don't know, romantic side of it. Very cool. Next up I have Astonishing X-Men number 1. And I believe this was I want to say it was a 1 in 100 variant. I'm not positive on that, but it was pretty hard to find, and I think I ended up paying quite a bit for it. Now I probably could have got it for cheaper. I didn't know much what I was doing. This was when I first started collecting comic books. I wasn't familiar with all of the different channels that you can use. I've gotten a lot better at that. That's one of the things that I kind of want to talk about and share and help other people get over the hump of collecting comic books and figure out, you know, interesting ways to approach back issues and markets and things like that. One of the big things that I did, obviously, was decide that I was going to track down Artgerm covers. Okay, now we get into the Batgirl 2009 run. So we have number 9, number 10, number 11, and then I have number 12 in a CGC 9.8. But I have a loose copy as well right here. But because I don't need it anymore, I'm going to be selling this one. But I do have it. I actually have 2 copies of it, and I will be selling the raw, and that 9.8 is for my personal collection because that is my favorite cover total. But I do like this whole Batgirl run. I like these active comic book poses where Batgirl's you know, fighting and everything like that. I've kind of been disappointed maybe in the more recent Artgerm shots that are much more like glamour shots. I think comic books are action books. They're superhero books. I like when he draws them in action. So not going to complain about his art, but I'm going to say that I like this kind of stuff more than I like his modern stuff. For some reason, this Batgirl number 14 is the next most desirable one after 12. And I don't know exactly why. Maybe it's because it's got Supergirl on there, but it's an interesting one. Okay, so now we move on to the Batgirl, I believe this is 2011, the New 52 run. And this is probably my least favorite Artgerm cover. What is going on with that leg? That is the weirdest kick, pose, whatever's going on. Nothing really makes sense. Whatever. That's not a good cover. But then we've got Batgirl number 12. I've gone through a couple different copies of this. I had one that was kind of beat up. I got this one that's pretty nice. Okay, then we move into the current Batgirl Rebirth run. Batgirl number 31 here, which is, this is the pure glamour shot. Now, this is obviously a beautiful picture. You can see how much time and effort and detail went into that, and it's amazing, but it's a glamour shot. It's a pose where a little bit of action's kind of nice. So I do like to see how he's progressed in drawing Batgirl over this series, but it's an amazing picture. I wish go back to the old costume. I wish he would do one of these in that level of detail and you know, artistic technique. Okay, next up we've got Batman Annual number 28. Artgerm doing a very nice Batman. Then we've got Batman Rebirth number 1. I love the way that he does Harley Quinn. I think those are fantastic. I think this was a store exclusive, but there were a lot of store exclusives for that run. All right, next up we've got Batman 49. Just a random one in the run. This was right before the wedding, obviously. That didn't happen. Okay, then I've got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Batman Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Now, this was a store exclusive as well. And this was an interesting one because I think I was trying to buy this one on eBay, and there weren't a lot of copies available, and they wanted a lot, like around $100 for the 3 copies. I'll pull out all 3. There's 3 variations. And they wanted like $100 for all 3. And I ended up figuring out what store originally purchased it. Went to their website, they still had it in stock, and I was able to get all 3 for about, I want to say $45 for all 3, about $15 a piece. That's about what the lowest that you're going to find for these store exclusives in my experience. And I was okay paying it. I especially like this one. I think this one's awesome with the limited color just in the Power Rangers, or not the Power Rangers, the Ninja Turtles. I think that one's great. Okay, next up, we've got Birds of Prey number 7. I believe that's the same. It's a little different, but it's the same basic Batman. Birds of Prey number 7. I'm going to move these aside now. I'll leave Birds of Prey right there. Birds of Prey number 8. This one I've got is pretty beat up. There's a couple of big dings in this one. It's one that if I find it in the wild, I'll replace this one with a better copy. Birds of Prey number 9. I don't even know who these characters are. I mean, obviously... actually, I cannot tell you who any one of those characters is on this cover. Oh well. Birds of Prey number 10. And then Birds of Prey number 11. This cover is pretty cool. Very good Valentine's Day cover. Love this one. Again, don't know who the characters are, but I do like the covers. Okay, then we go into Birds of Prey from the New 52, number 0. And then number 11 and number 12 of that series. All right, next up we have the Black Panther. And this is one of the first places that you see a gap in my collection. So this is the Black Panther. This was the variant cover for #1. Very, very cool Artgerm cover. I love this. I saw this one well before it was released, and I was like, I've seen it up on people's wall, and it's a gorgeous art print, full size, you know, big print. But they had the standard variant that was cover price, but then they had a Virgin variant, and at the time I had an opportunity to buy the Virgin variant for like $70. I think it was a 1 in 100. I didn't buy it. I wasn't ready to do that. And that's kind of when I started to think about if I was really going to try to get every single variant of every single book that Artgerm did. And I decided at the time that I'm going to get one version of every variant that Artgerm does, but I'm not going to get the triples and the line arts and the sketch variants and the black and whites and the virgins and everything else. Sometimes I do, but I'm not going to insist that I have that to consider my collection, you know, complete. Okay, next up we have Caliber. And I'm not, this is from Radical Comics. It's obviously a small print. I think this was one of the earlier books, if not the very earliest books that he did in the US market. And I think this was his studio that was lined up to do this. And I could be confusing something here, but I believe that Yasmin Putri was a part of his studio at this time, and so some of these are credited to both of them. So this is also early Yasmin Putri, who's been doing some really cool Red Hood Outlaw and the current run of Avengers covers, and she's excellent. So very, if that's accurate, which I may be mistaking, these are kind of a cool set of books to have. I was actually surprised I found most of these Caliber books in the wild. They were not as hard to find as you would have thought, considering how low print run they were. So I've got, he did A and Bs for 1 and 2, and then just the A cover for #3, and then 4 and 5 were done by somebody else. Okay, next up I have Captain Atom, and I have the first print and the second print of #1, and I have that whole run. So #2, #3. I like when Artgerm does Flash. Get to a Flash cover probably maybe next time around. #4, #5, and #6. And that's cool and grotesque. So that's a good run. That's a fun one. Okay, next we have the Artgerm store variants, Artgerm collectibles variants. So we've got Captain Marvel #1, and then the Flame variant. Now I bought these as soon as the store opened up, as soon as it was announced, and I was glad I got them. I think that, you know, this is his current stuff. I think he's really progressed in his technique. It is kind of glamour shots still. I mean, obviously there's some action going on here, and it is pretty cool, but it's more about, you know, not quite photorealism, but his animation style, very detailed. Now I have decided that I'm probably not going to get everything that he releases through his Artgerm collectible stores. And the reason for that, well, it depends on how he approaches it. It seems like he's kind of pushing it towards like a J. Scott Campbell store, where it's multiple variants with really subtle differences, and it's, you know, if people like that, cool. I'm not going to do the cash grab. I as much as I like him, I like what he does for cover price. I like finding things that he does in the wild. Those are just, there's a barrier to entry that is how much money you're going to put down, and I don't think the collectability is quite there for things that you have to, the only thing that you demonstrate by owning them is that you had enough money to buy them, because anybody who has enough money can buy them. Anyway, that's my view on the Artgerm store. I may continue to buy some things, probably only one variant if there's a group of variants, but I was happy to support him first time. All right, next up I have Captain Stone #1, or Capstone. This is Liam Sharp. I believe that's the same Liam Sharp that did Wonder Woman as doing the current Green Lantern. I haven't looked inside this book, but and it's Christina McCormack. I don't know if he would be the artist or the writer. Maybe they're putting the artist first, which would be cool. I should open that one up and see if it's, you know, standard Liam Sharp art. But this cover, it's obviously Artgerm, and this was a pretty hard to find cover. I think I had to buy it twice. One time it got lost in the mail, and that was really frustrating. It's not necessarily expensive, but it's not easy to find. I've never seen it in the wild. I've seen Capstone, another variant, but not this one. All right, now we have the Catwoman run. So Catwoman number 1, this is obviously from the current run. Number 2, number 3, that's obviously amazing, but it's a glamour shot. Number 4, which was very cool, the symbolism's cool. Number 5 is probably my favorite. He was trying something new, and he went this surrealist route. And to me, that's just, I mean, it hits what's going on between Batman and Catwoman in a very cool way, in a very surrealistic way. I love surrealism, so this one really pops out to me. Very cool that he did this. It's artistic, it is very beautiful, and it's Artgerm, so it's great. But is it a comic book or is it a piece of art? I don't know. And I mean, maybe it's both. I think comic books need some action. They always make more sense, and they always are easier to read if they have action. But that's just my interpretation of what they're supposed to be. All right, then I have Catwoman number 6, the Christmas variant, Santa Claus sleeping down there in the corner. And so that's it for this first roughly 50 books. I think there might be 49 here. I think I may have either torn a bag or didn't have, I don't remember. Had one too few bags. Sometimes that happens. But this is a group of 50 Artgerm books. So this is the first 50. I think I have about 200 total. So I'll get through those over the next little while. The one thing to add, so I showed you Batgirl 12 that fell in this group. There are also a couple of other books that I did not include here. One is Detective Comics wouldn't be in there yet. One that I skipped over is Amazing Spider-Man number 25. And the reason for this is that this book is too thick to fit in these Mylars. I'm going to have to get some standard size Mylars for this. The same goes for Detective Comics when I get there next round here. So I do have some books that don't fit in here, but these are all of the kind of normal size books for now. But that's my Artgerm book, or my Artgerm collection, the first round. And that takes us from A1 Weirding Willows through Catwoman number 6. So I just want to remind you that I just barely put up a contest for this book right here, Amazing Spider-Man King Size Annual number 16. This is the first appearance of Monica Rambeau. Now I want to give this book away. Down in the description of this video, I've got a link to the contest to explain how to win this book. I'll be giving it away on May 15th, 2019. So take a look at the video that's linked in the description to figure out how you can win this. Free shipping, nothing, you don't have to pay anything. All you have to do is enter and the winner will get it. So take a look at that. And I definitely need a new sign-off, which has to do with the contest to get that. So this is all I have for today. I think tomorrow is going to be New Comic Book Day, and I'll show you some books that I pick up, as well as a couple of books that came in the mail this week that I'm excited about. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.